So you know how we talked about something super important yesterday, which was capitalization? Well, we have something equally as important today, which is punctuation. If you don't punctuate your sentences, people aren't gonna be able to read them. It's just all gonna run together like one big blur. Don't believe me? Let's try it out. I wrote a story that's a true story, by the way, and I didn't put any punctuation in it. So my reader, which is going to be me, is not going to know when to stop and take a breath and where each sentence stops and the next one starts, which means when they read it, they're going to read it kind of fast and they're not going to take a lot of breaths and there's not going to be pauses. So it affects the way it sounds when you read it. So let's go ahead and check this out. Here we go. Here's the story I wrote. One day I was at my mom's house with my kids. My mom was peeling and cutting up apples for a snack. She put the pieces in the disposal. The switch to turn on the disposal was in the cabinet under the sink. Vaughn was 1 year old and crawling around on the floor. Since the cabinet door was open, he saw the switch and he turned it on while my mom had her hand in the disposal. I almost had a heart attack, but luckily my mom's hand was not all the way down by the blade, so she did not get hurt. It could have turned out very different. Oh my God. Whew. I couldn't breathe for a second there because I didn't have permission to breathe. When you don't put punctuation marks, when you don't give your reader periods or question marks or exclamation points, they don't really have permission to breathe. They don't know when to stop reading and take a breath. So you have to have punctuation in there. As you can see, I also don't have capitalization. So this piece does not look like a grown-up wrote it. It wouldn't even look like a third grader wrote it because it's so lacking. All right, so let's fix it. I'm going to read it this time, and as I read it, I'm going to put a period where I hear my voice naturally kind of pause or break or stop the sentence. One day I was at my mom's house with my kids. Oh, here we go. I stopped my sentence, so I put a period in there, which means the next letter needs to be capitalized. My mom was peeling and cutting up apples. My mom was peeling and cutting up apples for a snack. There we go, for a snack. So the period would go at the end of that sentence, which means the next one needs to be capital. She put the pieces in the disposal, the switch. Nope, she put the pieces in the disposal. Stop your sentence. The next one's capital. The switch to turn on the disposal is in the cabinet under the sink. Period. So whenever you are done with that thought, stop your thought. A period stops your thought. Period. All right. Next one has to be capital because it's the first letter and it's a name. Vaughn was 1 year old and crawling around on the floor. Period. Because that's where my voice stops. Since the cabinet door was open. Period. Wait, hold on. Let me try that. Since the cabinet door was open. Since the cabinet door was open, what? That's not the end because that doesn't make sense to stop there. Since the cabinet door was open, he saw the switch and he turned it on while my mom had her hand in the disposal. Period. That might not even be a period. That might need to be an exclamation point because that's like holy moly, big time problem. Next letter, capital. I almost had a heart attack. But luckily, my mom's hand wasn't all the way down by the blade, so she did not get hurt. Period. That's a long sentence, but it's one sentence. Next one, uppercase. It could have turned out very different. Period. All right, now I just need to go back and correct the very first letter needs to be uppercase, and there's one more mistake in that first sentence. Do you see it? It was the very first capitalization rule from yesterday. And it is that I am so important that I am always capital. I capitalize that I. There we go. So much better. Okay, so now I wrote my journal entry. What you're going to be doing today is you are going to write your journal entry about whatever you want. It can be a story or whatever. And then you're going to you make sure you're going to check for capitals and punctuation with what we call your checking fingers. So to use your checking fingers, you're going to put up your pointer finger on each hand. One pointer finger is going to find the start mark, the capital, and the other pointer finger is going to find the end mark. Whoa, chill. The punctuation. So capital, period, punctuation, and then keep doing that throughout your sentences. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I've switched over to my journal writing that I already did. So for today, when you're done with this, you're going to write in your journal So if you don't have one, you should just get some kind of notebook that or piece of paper. I'd like it to be a notebook if you can, but if you don't have a notebook, just use pieces of paper. And go to the next open page. If you just are starting one, then go to the front page. Write the date 1-6-21, and you're going to write whatever you want, like 5 sentences, fill a whole page, whatever you want, but it can't just be like a sentence or 2. Let's aim for at least 5. So almost like a paragraph. And then what you're going to do is you're going to check at the end when you're done writing, you're going to use your checking finger. So my first finger is going to check to see, do I have a capital letter? My dog Zola loves the snow. And at the end, period, when I'm done with my sentence, period, I'm going to find the punctuation or period. So that is a good sentence because it started with a capital, ended with a period. However, I do notice there's a name that's not capitalized. So I need to fix that, make that uppercase C. Okay. So then you get your checking fingers. Next one, did I start with a capital? She gets the zoomies and runs around crazy, and she even eats the snow, period. I did, but I do want to point out I did and too many times. This is what's called a run-on sentence, where you run too many words together and it just keeps going and going and going. It kind of sounds like you're like just kind of stuttering over your words. That's not the word. Blabbering, blah, blah, blah. You're blabbing. So let's edit that. She gets the zoomies and runs around crazy, period. And then let's get rid of and just start this with the S. She even eats the snow. That sounds better than always saying this. She does this, and she does this, and she does this. You don't connect all these sentences with and. Get rid of and just start a new sentence. She even eats the snow, period. But you know what? That's kind of like, she even eats the snow. I said that with emotion, so I want to do that as a exclamation point so that people say it with emotion when they read it. Next one, capital. I'm going to do the hat and the feet. It's funny to see her little paw prints all over the freshly fallen snow, period. So there's a good sentence. Just make sure you don't eat the yellow snow that she magically makes. Never eat yellow snow. Uh-oh, I missed something. Just make sure, that's capital, you don't eat the yellow snow that she magically makes. I didn't end it. I need to end it here. And I am going to, with my next sentence, never eat yellow snow. Again, that is like, never eat yellow snow. Like I'm yelling that at him. So I'm going to change that to an exclamation point too. So after you write your journal entry, use your checking fingers. But don't forget, you don't have to just use periods. Exclamation if you're saying it with emotion. Doesn't mean you have to yell it. And then a question mark if you're asking a question. All right, get busy.